Wow, this morning I was scooping corn in a bin in northeast Nebraska. So here I am tonight, here. Wow. I don't know if any of you have ever thought about writing a book, but if you do, you need an editor. And I guarantee you'll get mad at that editor. My editors told me I needed to flesh the story out more, that the little draft of the Harm Dog book with humorous stories needed more substance, needed more about the characters around the dog. Well, I just wanted to write about the dog. And I certainly didn't want to write about my story. So I stopped writing, and I stewed on it. And for a year, until June of 2017, that I decided that maybe, just maybe, I should do it. So I do it at my favorite place. I'd start on it again at my favorite place in all of Nebraska, the Snake River Canyon in far northern Nebraska outside of Valentine. That morning I pulled out my laptop and a cup of coffee and a clear blue sky with the sound of the falls in the backdrop. I started writing, and surprisingly I fell into the story. I lost myself in the story. It was 2 o'clock before I found my way back out. Much later than I had planned, and I had scheduled a long trip in the canyon, a trek for the day. But it was a nice summer day, there was little chance of rain, and I would be okay. So I headed down below the crossing, to the crossing below the falls, made my way across, walked clear down to the far end of the ranch, to the end of the river there, and there I stood on a 500-foot precipice overlooking a breathtaking, spectacular scene of the Snake River winding through pine trees, where I recall eagles soaring and vultures circling all at the same time. I climbed down quickly, and soon I found myself in the water, casting, and I caught that beautiful rainbow trout that I'd been dreaming about. I quickly snapped a picture from my back pocket, my phone in my back pocket. I released the fish into its lovely, crystal clear, sparkling water domain, and then continued hiking. In short, the day changed. A cloud bank came up. It got late. I lost my phone. I couldn't find my way back to the crossing. I wandered for hours, and I just couldn't find it. At the same time, I knew later that there was a lost bull 100 miles to the east, a black one as dark as night, on the far side of a river away from his herd as well. I panicked. I knew that I was headed into the night, about dark, on the far side of the canyon with no gear, a storm coming, and a little water left. I had drank the last drink a while ago. Luckily, a few Good Samaritans I happened to hear across the canyon. They guided me down across. I found my way out, and soon, as the clouds passed and the storm passed, I found myself at the cabins with the sun going down to the west, eating cherry pie and ice cream, marveling at today, how it had turned out, how arduous it was, and here I was, everything was fine. They suggested that I stay the night, but I had other ideas. So I pulled out about dark onto the highway for my 3.5-hour drive. I strapped my seatbelt on, set my cruise control, and told myself I should be more careful next time. I lost myself in my thoughts. I thought about my daughter and my wife and the travels in this same pickup to equestrian events all over, with my little girl sitting in the back dreaming of where we'd go the next time. I kept driving. I kept thinking. I didn't turn on the radio on even. Somewhere east of Valentine, something was far ahead. I hit my brakes, slammed on my brakes, and missed the deer that crossed. And then, as I saw lightning to the east, I kept driving. About an hour away from home, I realized I was reaching the storm. There was raindrops hitting my windshield. I was still lost in my thoughts. And then Out of the darkness and the fog of my thoughts, I saw a cattle truck veering into my lane and tipping over all at the same time. He had found the black bull with his bumper crossing the highway. We were both going full speed. I had no time to hit the brakes. I realized I was again heading into the night, and all was lost this time. But I awoke to a sublime, nearly beautiful scene of sparkling crystal glass all around me, a little bit of moonlight, drops of rain hitting my dash, the lowing of cattle. And then I thought, and now this? I could not move. I was completely trapped. A passerby came. First, the young truck driver came to my door, profusely apologizing, saying he'd found the bull with his bumper, and there was nothing he could do. He kept saying he needed to call his father, but he was bleeding so bad he couldn't see and had to lay down. He apologized and apologized. A passerby came by, and I called out my home phone number, the lucky 4 7s at the end. She reached my daughter. And then the calmest voice I ever heard was at my door saying, "Keith, we're going to get you out of here." The sheriff told me later that the truck was damaged so bad, the mess so bad, he just called in a fatality. There was flesh and blood everywhere. The cattle truck was full. Half of them died. He said things like, "Someone shear this door off then." And I could hear the shearing of the door. And then I heard the porter power quit. He called out for another. It resumed. He said, "Keith, stay with us." I wondered about that. He kept working. I saw a young man holding a cow down with a headlock on her beside my door, struggling. I called out for morphine. No one answered. He kept working, and he asked me the make and model of the vehicle as he tried to push the dash away from my body. I feared that it would spring back, and it did. He pushed again, kept trying, and he pushed it away. And then they strapped a body wrap around me, a vest with handholds all over. And it seemed like out of the heavens, hands came down out of the heavens and reached and started preparing to pull me out as the calm voice said, "Keith, I'm sorry, we have to do this. Scream if you wish." In the ambulance, quite soon, the bright lights were shining in my eyes. I could discern there was a young paramedic beside me. She told me later that I started reciting poetry to her. At Zio's, we all gathered to dine and toast well. 3 cultures combined before the big day. I was trying to release myself from the pain. It was a story about my daughter and me at an equestrian event I rode alongside of the road late in the night. Next came hours of hospitals, ambulances, surgeries, a long trip to Omaha in an ambulance, and humanity everywhere, kindness and humanity everywhere, working to save me. The doctor, whose nurses said fixes the unfixable, worked on me. The impact was so bad that hardly anyone survives the G-forces involved. But I did, and they fixed me, and they helped me. The nurse in the middle of the night who caught my eye in one of the worst stages I was in and took my pain and accepted my pain as hers. I'll never forget. Weeks and weeks later, I was able to move in a walker, and my wife took me back to the scene. And there I was, standing at the same spot along the highway, quiet highway. It was about sundown almost by the time we got there. And I looked down at my feet, and there, the only thing left was the emblem off the front of my pickup, nearly unscathed, probably into a cow's body, protected. I looked to the north, far to the north, and there was a bull standing over a single wire fence, looking at cows across the highway. Him too hoping to make a crossing. A few cars whizzed by, and I thought to myself, and they too into the night. Oh, epilogue, I guess, the end of the story is that the dog book got done. And my story continues. Ace, the greatest farm dog, is gone now, but it's okay. The fences were fixed. And the editors, maybe they were talking about my story. That after 56 years, my story wasn't complete yet. It continues. My story continues, though. And I'm very grateful. Thank you.